Hello, it is July 27th, 2024, and this is a drawing I did earlier in the afternoon. Um, I ended up coming up with some pretty cool stuff. I don't know. It was fun. I won't say it's cool. Everybody else can decide if it's cool or not. But I just end up scratching on the paper and seeing what comes out of the clouds, I guess. And don't worry, I put it in fast forward in a little bit, in a couple of seconds here, so you don't have to deal with me fussing around and finding my bearings here. I'm trying something a little different. I'm gonna give a voiceover story time rather than playing some dopey music or some canned YouTube digital rights free music. So hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching. I had the idea when I was cutting the grass the other day, doing chores around the house, to try to do some story time over the top of some of these drawings. I don't know how it's gonna work. We're just playing, just having fun. So I had the thought to speak about some odd stories that have happened to me when I was traveling the forests, walking through the woods. So I grew up and spent a lot of my adult life in western part of New York State, and south of Buffalo, or if you get outside of the Buffalo area, it's pretty rural. A lot of woods, a lot of farmland, a lot of countryside, a lot of trails that have been put in place by nature conservancies and an organization called Rails to Trails that modify old rail beds and turn them into hiking trails, or somehow or other they acquire the land that the rail bed was on and turn it into a hiking trail. And this trail system, or these trail systems, snake all over Western New York and the counties that make up Western New York. Um, but when I was, this is going back maybe, geez, 20 some years ago, or no, got to be farther than that. And I'll say this, I'm gonna mention this because it's pertinent to the story. But around the time frame there was a show, or around the time frame this happened, there was a show on called Xena Warrior Princess, and it was about this girl who basically, she dressed like a barbarian and had the skimpy barbarian outfit on and cruised around. I don't know, whatever it was, ancient Greece or the like, with her assistant or her sidekick or whatever. Anyway, when I would walk through the woods to head towards a creek that I would do a lot of creek walking through. Spent a lot of time down in the creek fishing and whatever. But to get there, I would take an extremely out of the way route, which was through thicket and forest and probably about 2 miles of bushwhacking, just through straight trees and bushes and an old overgrown grape vineyard with barbed wire stretching through the forest and acres of that. So it was a very unlikely place for anybody else to travel. I had been romping the woods, so I just knew how to get places. I don't know if I still could, but I just would head out in the woods and I just knew how to get to wherever I was going somehow, some way, just from familiarity. And when I got close, I was getting close to the water, close to the creek, and there was a particular portion of this hike where the forest was especially messy and thick and hard to get through. And there's this little clearing. It can't be big at all, maybe 7, 8 feet in diameter. And I had known about this little place, and it was kind of, the trees were creeping in and the growth was creeping in, but it had always been there, and part of one of the little landmarks that I used to use when I was traveling around the woods. But in this little clearing, there was a girl dressed like, wearing some kind of barbarian outfit, and a guy with a handheld camcorder filming her as she swung a sword at just like, and striking poses with this sword in the forest. And I have no idea. I mean, I guess I have some idea. They're just taking video, I would suppose. I don't know. But that was really strange, one off. DWTF is going on here? Never saw anything like it before, never saw anything like it again. And I just kind of assumed that that dude was this was late 90s, early 2000s, that this dude was simping on this chick or trying to mac this chick, and he was filming her or convinced her to go into the woods. I don't know. Or, I don't know, maybe it was like cosplay was not part of my um lexicon at the time, so maybe that was like cosplay going on in the forest and she was taking some glamour shots or something. I don't know. I just kind of gave him a nod and walked on like it was no big deal. So that was an odd thing, man. This was, odd enough to stick in my skull all these many years later. Let's see what else. I did have. Oh, this is broaching. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say this is broaching paranormal, but it was an odd one. There was a road, part of this trail systems that I was talking about earlier, and this network of paths and whatnot. Some of these trails used to actually be automobile roads, and the one particular path I was hiking was an old road, and the road was cut into the side of a hill or a portion of this hill, and the hill was almost a clean 45-degree slope, and at the base of this slope was a creek, another creek, and probably like 15 feet up along this 45-degree angle was a road cut into the side, maybe 20 feet across. It had started to grow over and become thick and heavy with trees and brush. And then on the other side, on the headed north, that would be my left hand side, it went up on the opposite side of the road, probably 75 feet up the hill, because I had hiked up that hill a couple of times, and it was pretty thick forest and bush. And if you were standing on that old road, you could maybe see 20 feet into the woods before the growth and the bush and the branches took away your ability to see very deep within. But I was hiking down there with my old dog, and maybe 75 feet, 100 feet in from the trailhead where I had parked my car, um, this thing came tumbling down the hill through the bush and trees and thicket, and it hit the road, and it was like a black ball, a black mass, a black thingy. I don't know what it was. I kind of have I'm guessing it might have been a bear cub, but it didn't. I couldn't really tell. To this day, I'm not sure what it was. A black ball rolled down and kind of rolled out into the middle of the path, the old roadway, and stretched out and stood up on two legs. And it was as black as night, or blacker, I should say. It was like a cardboard cutout of a figure painted black. Um, and I could not see any form or shape to it. That was the odd part because it was 3 in the afternoon. The sun is high in the sky. I'm hanging out there with my dog in the forest. There's nothing, no tricks being played by the light or the shadows or anything. It's just bright as, it's the middle of the day, super bright. And I see this thing, and it stands up, and it just looks like a hole in reality, and just black, no shapes, nothing to give it form, no shadows, no core shadows, no bright highlights, no dark areas, no nothing. And then it turns, and you could see it's like it was facing me side on, and it turned and it expanded. You could see the chest turn and like the arms hang down, and it was probably about 3.5 feet tall. Um, Still pitch black. Couldn't see anything. Couldn't make out any eyes or nothing. It doesn't mean that they weren't there and I just didn't see it. I wasn't studying it long enough, but I thought my initial gut reaction was that it was a bear cub and Mama's not too far away. So I called my dog, Arthur, and fortunately, this was one of the very few times he was actually obedient and listened to me and ran up by my side, and we got out of there. We booked it the hundred some feet back to trailhead where I had the car parked and got out of there. But to this day, I still wonder what that was. No idea. Okay, and for story number three, this is another head scratcher. Not quite sure what was going on or what to think about it, but um, not really paranormal by any means. Just like seriously, you can't believe what some people might be up to. This guy, I'm in a place called Botwell Hill State Forest, and it's like 5,000 acres of undisturbed woodland. A couple of trails going through there, some large ponds, a lot of campers, a lot of people hanging out. Um, Depend on the time of the year. This was probably early fall, so where I was a college town. Not a lot of people. All the college kids used to hang out down there and go camping. College was out of season, so it was empty. Everything was empty. Good time to hang out in the woods, take the dog for a walk, and just not bump into anybody. Anyway, what I used to do is follow. There was main trails, fresh trails, every regularly walked trails, and then there were old trails. You could see these old trails would fade off into the woods, or they were once upon a time used, but they would they were fading away, as it were. So I would try to find these old trails and take them for as far as I could before they would just evaporate, I guess, and there'd be nothing left. So I had got on one of these side trails, which led to another side trail, which led to another side trail, and I'm walking once again. I'm walking with my dog, and there is I hear this thump 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 like a motor, and I'm thinking, oh, somebody's got a four wheeler or something's happened. They're just cruising around in the woods, and because there's not really where I was. Like I said, I was on these faded trails, and there's nothing back there. There's no clear way, even for a four wheeler, it would probably have been tough. Not because the terrain was rough, but because it was just so heavy with trees and thicket. But this guy comes out of the woods on a Harley Davidson, and not like any kind of. This is no off-road dirt bike or nothing, man. This was like one of those. Looks like if you tipped over, you would need a crane to pick it up, kind of Harleys. And he's got to be 65 or so, around that. He looked at least around that time frame, age wise or vintage. But he rolls out of the woods on this Harley, like with the big suitcases on the side and everything. And he has a beer in he's got his hand on the clutch side of the handlebar and a beer in his hand on the brake handlebar, just kind of like resting it on the handlebar, maybe a pinky on the brake, I don't know, and the beer in the hand, and he's just rolling real slow through the woods. And right next to him is a Jack Russell Terrier, like a my dog Skip kind of dog, running, just keeping up alongside of him. And I think this dude is actually just like cruising through the woods on his Harley, taking his dog for a walk. Um, God forbid he get that thing stuck in the mud or something like that. He's never getting it out. But yeah, that was a strange one that stuck with me. It still does to this day. I remember clearly a bald dude, seriously heavy guy with a wife beater on and his gut hanging out, cruising in the woods with a definitely not off-road vehicle. It was the Harley with the fenders and the whole deal, man. So I don't know. It looked like he probably had done it before. And keep in mind, this is early in the morning, probably 9:30 a.m. around that time frame. So he had a beer in his hand, and just I guess that's what you do, man. If I had the money and the time, I'd be cruising a Harley through the woods. Probably, probably not. I don't know. Anyway, that's the end of my odd stories for the woods. I do have more odd stories of strange things that have happened. I'm sure we all do. But until next time, thanks for watching. Bye.